Wanting to step into your next stage of business, but not really sure where to start? Well, in this episode, I'm going to introduce to you the superpowers that are conveyed in the numbers 1, 2, and 3 that we can leverage when we're stepping into our next stage. Welcome to the Storyteller's Advantage podcast, the podcast where entrepreneurs and business owners can discover ways to cut through the noise and step into your next stage of business. I'm your host, Donna Lenzik, so let's get to this week's episode. Recently, I was working with a client of mine, and what came to me was the pros and cons that are conveyed simply in the numbers of 1, 2, and 3, and how they really possess superpowers that we can leverage when we're stepping into our next stage of business. And I thought I'd share them with you. So here we go. So first of all, the number 1. The power that it conveys is all about simplicity and focus. You know, for example, if we're trying to do 10 different things in a day, our mind switches too much and we can get to a place that I call nowhere. Anyways, in order to step into our next stage, we need to create some space for that new thing that we want to create and where we have some undivided attention. Now, it just might mean 1 or 2 hours a week to start, or 20 minutes a day of uninterrupted time. But the key is to find and create some space and leverage that simplicity of that focus of the number 1 that number 1 conveys. Okay, so second of all, the power that the number 2 conveys. Now, to me, when we leverage the power of 2, or when we think of the power of 2, we're no longer alone. And in the business world, whether we are a solo business owner or a busy corporate leader, we can often feel very alone and not really sure who to confide in or mastermind with. And when we're stepping into our next stage, it's important that we leverage that power of 2 and have someone to confide in and be an objective sounding board, because it helps us keep us moving. Instead, we can get stuck if we stay by ourselves. Third, the power of 3. Now, what does the power of 3 convey? Well, when we're stepping into the next stage of business, there's 3 things that really firmly come to my mind, and they're so really fundamentally important. And it's like a 3-legged chair to sit on. If we miss out on one of these things, or if one of these 3 legs are a little bit more short than the others and not as strong, then we're going to have a lean over chair. We're not going to sit very strongly, and in other words, we're not going to have a very strong foundation. So I'm going to step you through what are these 3 legs of this chair that I'm talking about. So first of all, the first leg of the chair is the ideal client. Now, I'm not talking about complete avatar write-ups, but what I am talking about is being really clear about the problem that they face that you can help solve. Those people are on a journey. They're facing a challenge and they're wanting to be successful. So be clear on that person, their journey, and their challenge is really key. The second of the 3 legs of this chair is the solution to their challenge. What can you uniquely provide on their journey that would be of value and help them to face that challenge and be successful? And the third and final leg of this chair is about you and your joys. What do you love doing? What do you have expertise in? What are you good at? And what do you love doing? If you're doing something that you're good at and you love doing, it's going to show. On the other hand, if you choose strategies to step out that aren't in your joy, and you're not very skilled at, it's no doubt going to impact your delivery. Sometimes we can hear about this is the latest thing in marketing, and you got to do that. Or this is the latest thing to do in influencing change. And the key thing is it's got to be aligned with who you are, because no matter if it's the latest thing since sliced bread or the greatest thing since sliced bread from that one person, it's got to be for you. It's got to resonate for you. And that's why it's really important to take into consideration and celebrate our uniqueness. So that's the powers that are conveyed in numbers 1, 2, and 3 as we step into our next stage of business. So let me quickly recap. When we leverage the power of 3, we have 3 strong legs of this 3-legged chair: the ideal client, your solution, and your joys. and we have a solid, stable foundation to grow from. When we leverage the power of 2, we don't feel alone, and we have an objective sounding board to bounce off things. We keep on moving forward. Can create momentum. And lastly, when we leverage the power of 1, we leverage the power of simplicity and focus, and from there we can create the space for what we're wanting to step into. So as I wrap up today's episode, I have one question for you. Which of these 3 superpowers resonated most for you? Was it the power that was conveyed in 1, 2, or 3? I encourage you to take a minute to reflect on that and make a decision to take your next step forward. You've been listening to the Storyteller's Advantage podcast. To get your free visual worksheet on today's topic, go to thestorytellersadvantage.com and sign up today. You can then also be automatically notified when new podcast episodes, Q&A coaching calls, and other resources are available. Until we meet again, I leave you with this message. Our world is waiting for us to step into our next stage of business. It's time, so let's go.